Is a Kiara. Shout out to you as well. Doing a Sunday night edition Newstoter broadcast slash X Space. What's going on with everybody? I hope everybody's having a great weekend. We're here Sunday night live with our people once again. Definitely for all our people that come in on YouTube, guys, make sure you click that notification bell. Share out tonight's broadcast, leave a comment as well too. Shout out to Alyssa. Shout out to No Taxation over here on X. Definitely for all my people coming in, y'all go ahead and also for my people on X, go ahead and retweet the space out. Retweet the space out. Tonight we're gonna be talking about a situation that seems to be happening up there in New York. Of course, we know about the New York reparations taking place, but you seem to starting to have a clashing coming on right now. You have some individuals that feel like the actual reparation claim isn't going deep enough, isn't going far enough, and that you're excluding a number of people that should be also included in the actual reparation claim, unlike the one in California that's lineage based, dealing with slavery. We have a number of people up in New York, activists as well, saying that, hey, any black person who's experienced systematic racism should be able to stake a claim for reparations. So that's what we're going to be covering tonight, guys. Glad to see everybody's coming up in the space. Shout out to all of you guys coming up in here. Tweet it out, tweet it out. I want to get everybody's perspective and opinion on this situation right here. I knew it was a matter of time before it got to that point. And we know that's another reason why a lot of people that actually are not actually born in this country, black people, are against reparations because they feel like, hey, they're not included in it. So they say, if I'm not included in it and I can't get any money or benefit from it, why should anybody else as well, too? So we're going to be touching up on this. We're going to be covering up on this. I definitely hope that we have a nice discussion tonight, and I want to hear I want to hear more than one or two opinions on the situation as well, too. I know sometimes it's hard to get people to come up and speak on it, but we definitely, like I said, we definitely want to hear what people got to say. I look forward to reading some of the comments over there on YouTube as well, too. Hopefully our people will keep us informed and they'll ask some good questions that we can share with the space and talk about in this broadcast as well, too, guys. Like I said, we're discussing black New Yorkers and the clashing over who should get reparations. I'm going to touch up on that topic real quick. I'm going to touch up on that. I was giving our people a few more minutes to come in here, but like I say, for those that's up in here, definitely go ahead and retweet the space out. We got a lot of sisters up in here right now. So the sisters right now, we're pretty heavy with the sisters up in the actual X space. I see Nita, I see No Taxation, Alyssa. So we got a bunch of people up in here. Miss Beverly, it's a bunch of the sisters holding it down for right now. Hopefully the fellas will come up in here and they'll voice their opinion as well too. And I'd definitely like to hear from some of the sisters tonight. Not saying we will, but I would like to hear from them, get their opinion on it. So let me go ahead and touch up on this real quick. Like I say, hopefully our people, hopefully you guys can hear me when I go to this actual article too. One of our curation partners is up in the Jumbotron. Let me see where it's at up in the Jumbotron. It's on the second on the right-hand side, and the Jumbotron is also in the description for all of my people over there on YouTube. It's in the description. And guys, also, like I said before, Newstoter has our membership-based platform. You can support us. You can become a contributor by supporting us monthly for as little as $1.75, guys. It's up in the Jumbotron, and it's also in the description on YouTube, and it's also on the actual screen as well. To support Newstoter by becoming a contributor for as little as $1.75 a month. Let me go ahead and touch up on this article real quick, guys, and then we can dig into it a little bit deeper. It says black New Yorkers already clashing over who should get reparations. A New York commission that will recommend whether to give reparations for slavery and discrimination of black residents hasn't even met yet, but it's already sparked a rift among black New Yorkers over who should be eligible for payouts. A similar panel in California said monetary reparations should be limited only to descendants of chattel slavery persons of the U.S., $360,000 per eligible person, but not for other black Americans who may have suffered discrimination. Even with that restriction, the price tag for the proposal has been estimated at an eye-watering $800 billion. A New York commission is now examining whether the descendants of slaves are entitled to reparations. However, a huge segment of New York's black residents are not descendants of U.S. slavery. In New York City alone, well over 500,000 people are Afro-Caribbean or African immigrants, more than 25% of the black population, census figures show. But some New York black activists say California reparation packages was too restrictive, Bertha Lewis, head of the Brooklyn-based Black Institute, told the Post that reparations must be considered for all Black residents because they have suffered from decades of systematic racism resulting from slavery, even if they are not direct descendants of slavery. That's a false narrative, Lewis said. I don't give a F what California did. You can't just say only descendants of slaves from the South. Black people face effects of slavery discrimination simply because they're Black. She said in many cases it will be extremely hard to document proof of ties to slavery given the scant records at the time. Seriously disagree with that. A rift has grown over whether all Black New Yorkers should receive a check. If you're going to talk about reparations, you have to talk about discrimination that has gone on a long time against Black people in the white American system, Lewis said, but others disagreed, saying any Black person who moved to the U.S. for better opportunities have no right to reparations for slavery in this country. It was our choice to come here, says Mona Davis, a Black South African woman who moved to New York as a child. The only beneficiaries of reparations are descendants of chattel slavery, not African immigrants or Afro-Caribbean descendants. She added, descendants of slaves didn't have a choice. White people benefited from slavery. Davis, who publishes Little African News, which serves the African community in the U.S., said reparation advocates should also go after African countries where rulers rounded up and sold people to slave traders. In many cases, it was Black Africans who sold slaves. Ghana is rich, Nigeria is rich, she said. Some believe African countries should foot the pricey bill. Governor Kathy Hochul and legislative leaders recently appointed 9 members of the Community Commission on Reparation Remedies. Hochul won a close election for governor in 2022 thanks to overwhelming support for Black voters. The commission, formed through a law approved in December 2023, is tasked with examining the horrific legacy of slavery, subsequent discrimination against Black people, and impact it has had to this day. Assemblywoman Michelle Solange, a sponsor of the law to study reparations, said public hearings will be held across the state to get input from New Yorkers as well as experts on the issue. She said it's up to the commission to recommend who should be eligible for reparation, but she believes the California model is not one New York should emulate. We have a different history than California. We're looking at harm-based reparations. New York is not just looking at slavery, but the vestiges of slavery, she said. New York State record counted 21,193 enslaved people in 1790 population. Slavery wasn't outlawed in New York until 1817, and some 4,600 enslaved people were freed when the law took full effect 10 years, according to the New York Historical Society. Solange mentioned systematic racism, such as discrimination and segregation housing that impacts Black residents even today, needs to be studied. California is now tied up in knots over the recommendations, including the extraordinary cost of the program. California Governor Newsom, a Democrat who has eyes on the White House, backed the study but refused to commit to approving reparations check. The report authors said that the harm of slavery and its aftermath include racial terror, political disenfranchisement, housing, segregation, separate and unequal education, stolen labor, an unjust legal system due to Black family preventing control over creative and cultural life, mental and physical ills, and the racial wealth gap. Still, 59% of California voters oppose handing out cash payments as reparations to residents who are descendants of slaves, compared to 23% who support and 13% who had no opinion. According to a survey conducted last September, many voters said they do not believe they should have to pay for the sins of slavery, as in California, the New York legislature and governor would decide on whether to accept, reject, or amend the commission's recommendations. I hope you guys were able to hear me pretty good in there, because I did have to go to another, had to actually go to the site to actually read it. Shout out to everybody coming up in the space. I see a number of you guys up in the space. Shout out to, like I say, all my folks up in here. We got a couple questions over here on YouTube. And anybody up in the space that wants to speak as well, too, guys, definitely. No taxation, if I'm not wrong. Are you up there in New York? If you're up there in New York, definitely I want to get you up here and hear what you got to say about it. Muffet says, have expectations been walked back? California isn't issuing cash reparations to Black Americans, and New York won't either. Therefore, whatever is passed won't technically be reparations. Nick says, Nick J.E. LAIKO3 says black immigrants chose to come in. You actually had a black woman that was actually immigrant, but the actual that owns the actual website, Little Africa News or whatever. She was saying the same thing from South Africa. She's like, hey, we chose to come here, and black people didn't. So she pretty much. Then this came from an actual African immigrant. Actually said this as well too. So she would definitely agree with you on that. Abdul says reparations are absolutely due from the United States of America, specifically for Black American freedmen, descendants of enslaved Africans, with cash payments. Muffet also says, have we not begun to realize by now that none of these politicians ever intended to compensate Black Americans with reparations? It is a political ploy designed to get us to sit on our hands paralyzed. Abdul says Afro-Diasporians other than Black American freedmen must make their claim for reparations from their respective home countries. Reparations from the United States of America is based on the lineage. And I can't disagree with you on that as well, too. So, but I wonder, because it seemed like in some of these cases, we did this on Boston as well, too, because you had a big issue up there in Boston where you had some of the actual activists talking about reparation, and some of them actually seem to be, a couple of them were actually Black Americans. Now, of course, you had other groups that felt a certain way as well, too, so you know what, well, we should be included. But you actually, in some of these discussions, you actually have Black Americans that's supposed to be reparation activists saying, hey, we're not going enough. We're too, we need to go ahead and broaden it. Right now, it's too small for the actual claim. We need to include more people. I don't know if they personally feel like, hey, the more the merry, the more people we have on board with this, including other Black people that came over here 30, 40 years ago or whatever, the more people we have aboard on this, the better the chance for this actually succeeding. It seems like that seems to be like a groupthink type idea as well, too, because, I don't really see anything wrong with the lineage base. That, to me, it's a smaller number of people that's going to get it. I don't know exactly how many Black people in this country, because we hear anything from 40 million to 50 some million. I wonder exactly how many of those are actually Black people that weren't descendants of actual chattel slavery. I know it said up there in New York, 25% of the actual Black population, Black American population, however you want to classify it, Black population, is actually from the Caribbean and of African descent. Now, a lot of times we think of New York, and a lot of times New York has been kind of given the actual, people think of New York and they think of every Black person being up there pretty much being of an immigrant background. They think of the same thing in Florida as well, too. And you have to tell people that, hey, Florida has a huge Black American population. Yes, the past 40, 50 years ago, you have a number of immigrants that came to the state, but let's not forget, for well over 100 some odd years, man, and even during the actual boom, the actual state boom, you had a lot of Black Americans that came to Florida as well, too. So, but it is very interesting how this is playing out right now at this point in time, and it's only going to get worse. You're going to have in more of these states as you start to see more and more states take the lead. And right now, we got California and we got New York, leading the actual way, in terms of the mega states actually talking about reparations. Those two states are considered liberal states as well, too. The next two biggest states, well, and actually Texas would be the second biggest state, but the next two states to come off the block would be Florida and Texas, two very, very red states in a very red region of the actual country as well, too. And especially Florida. Florida, we know Texas has a huge Latino population, but Florida has a huge Latino population, Hispanic, but they also have a huge Caribbean population as well, too. So it would be very, very interesting to hear, how the people, once things get rolling in Florida and they start setting up these commissions and everything else, how exactly will this be handed out as well, too? Will the actual Black immigrants in the state of Florida and some of these other major states, will they start to turn on the entire reparation thing because they're not included as well, too? And that's what it's looking like. And like I say, apparently you're having a lot of Black reparationists as well, too, that's actually trying to pigeonhole people into the actual situation as well, too. My thing is that you do have a claim, but your claim is based off of the actual land you came from. Like your claim needs to be with Great Britain or France or Spain or the Netherlands or Portugal or whoever, wherever your people descend from. Your claim is not with the United States of America in terms of reparations. And then the whole thing we get to, everybody said, oh, we got to go ahead and we got to, even if we weren't here for slavery, our people weren't here, we're still feeling the effects, the vestiges of slavery. So we too are entitled to whatever the people that's been here the whole time, the ones that built the country, we're entitled to what exactly their descendants would have got as well too. Like our descendants was here in 1800, 17 something or whatever, here building a country and building it as the country got built and everything else. But you're saying that your descendants should be just as entitled to anything that we would get, which kind of, I know a number of black people, number of black Americans. By black Americans, I mean actual descendants of chattel slavery in this country. When you start talking to them about reparations and about including other black people as well, too, a number of them feel like, hey, we should include them. Like, hey, they live here. They're victims of racism and white supremacy. So, they should absolutely get anything that we're going to get as well, too. So, like I said, I want to hear what people up in the space got to say. We got a number of people coming in. Let me read a couple more comments over here on YouTube as well. The more people you had to the reparations claim, the less likely we get it. There's going to be white and Hispanic people coming out of the woodwork claiming they have a black grandmother. That's definitely going to be the case. That's already the case. You already got white folks when you have some of these spaces saying, well, hey, what happened if you got an 1/8 of black in you, or you got a 16th of black in you? So you're already getting that. The more people we add to the reparations claim, less likely we'll get it. There will be, okay, somebody already put that. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing. The thing I do know that when they talk about the reparations that you're supposed to have identified as being black, I believe, for as much as 10 years. So, even if you got a grandparent or I should say, because most of them ain't got a grandparent, it'll be a great, great, great grandparent. If you're a white person, you have a great, great, great grandparent, and you may have a 16th of black in you, or just a smidge or whatever. And now you're saying, well, hey, free money's being given out. Let me go ahead and get my stake. Let me get my claim. Well, if you've identified, you're 30 years old and you've identified as white your whole life, from what I've told, that's supposed to, pretty much disqualify you. I think we need to go ahead and tighten that up even a little bit more too. I think you should have to claim being black your entire life. Because I mean, I don't think anybody in this space will say, you know what, I've been black for the last 10 years. No, you've been black your entire life. So if you're not claiming blackness your entire life, then I think you need to be excluded. Whether you had 3 or 4 black people in your family tree, you ain't claimed being black the entire time until it was something beneficial for you. So no, you should definitely have to have a descendant that was actually of chattel slavery, but you also need to claim black. If you've been claiming white or Latino or Asian or whatever for the past, however long, you shouldn't get anything. Just simple as that. Abdul says, eventually, as many black American freedmen as possible must strategically locate ourselves on the southern eastern seaboard for political and economical purposes. Well, that's where the great majority state comes into play right there. That's where the great majority state comes into play right there. If we can go ahead and we can, you can find an area in the South, preferably, it's going to probably have to be the South, where you can actually become the majority, then that's possible as well, too. You can control state politics. We haven't got to that point yet. There's a number of states that people mention. They talk about Mississippi, Georgia, I believe South Carolina, a number of other states. Most people I know, they're not going to move to Mississippi. I'm just being real. Most people I know, they will not move to Mississippi. American Lady says, immigrants are not victims of white supremacy. Research how Caribbeans in New York were able to lock us out of real estate market in the 1920s in New York City. I have to research that because I've never heard of that one. But, there's a lot of crazy stuff that went on. Black people, especially in New York, caught a lot of hell up in New York. Black people got caught hell up in New York right during the time that you had the Civil War, and you had a bunch of Irish that just went on a killing spree. They didn't want to serve in the actual military, and they blamed everything on black people. And they went ahead and deleted as many black people as possible, and nothing happened to them. So unfortunately, that's what it is. American lady says immigrants, northern descendants live with the trauma and plunder of American chattel slavery and Jim Crow. I agree. Nick says these immigrants need to sit down and shut up. Our claim is with the United States federal government. It has nothing to do with them. Hey, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. Shout out. I see we got original. We got my man original up in here serving as a co-host tonight. Shout out to original. Shout out to see DJ's up in here too. Shout out to Black Delegation. Got a number of y'all up in here. Y'all make sure y'all go ahead and retweet this space out. I want to hear what y'all think. New York City, the epicenter of diversity, the melting pot of diversity probably in the country. And now with this whole reparation thing, we got a number of people saying that, hey, we need to be included as well in this reparation thing as well too. I want to get everybody's opinion. Original, you're elder, and definitely people value your opinion on many of things. What's your thought about that? Because you're starting to get some of these activists in some of these major northern cities, these metropolis, like in Boston, we had the space. We was talking about it. You know, the Black immigrants in Boston felt a certain way about being included in the reparation claim. Now we got New York. You know, the city that never sleeps. When you think of America, you think of New York first and foremost, and a lot of people up there, and even some Black Americans, and I couldn't tell just when reading the article, looking at the name, I'm suspecting that this person might be a Black American that said, and mind you, you had a person from South Africa say, hey, you know what, we don't need to be included in this claim because, you know, we weren't slaves in this country. We don't descend from slaves in this country. Only Black Americans who descend from slaves in this country have a true claim to it. But you're starting to see some of these reparation organizations popping up, and they're saying, hey, you know, California was too strict, was too restrictive. California wasn't right in terms of how it denied people and stuff like that. And that, hey, we're all in it together. You know, hey, whether my people was here doing slavery or not, we feel the effects of it simply because you and I, we share the same skin tone. So I should also get exactly, you know, if anything's going to be handed out. True enough, my family came here in the last 30 years, and your family might have been here in the last 150 years at the very least. But hey, you know, I too feel that I should get exactly what you guys are getting, because it's only fair, because white supremacy, systematic racism, and the color of my skin, when I go down the road, they look at me the same as they look at you. So I should also fall under this umbrella, and I should also reap any rewards that, you know, Black Americans, the people that built this country, went through as well too. So what's your feeling on that, original?
Greetings, everyone. Peace, Black power, and lineage. My perspective on this is that this is a sabotage that's coming up, because now California got it right. California is it's not restrictive at all, because see, a lot of these people, whereby they have worked. I'm trying to find out. I know someone had mentioned in one of your spaces before, where they said that I want to know which book Shirley Chisholm wrote this in, where she said that they were getting benefits that she's from the Caribbean, but she said they was getting benefits that Black American wasn't getting. See, this is a continued part of that divide and conquer. And see, I think it was back in the 90s where the last time someone tried to get reparations, and they said it couldn't be done, you know, based on race. And remember when our great brother Johnny Cochran, Mr. Johnny Cochran, said they were going to get this thing together and get that money. All of a sudden, brother ended up with an aneurysm. He's no longer here. But this is about Black people, because a lot of these immigrants, they come here, they do not identify with us. They don't ally with us. They tell us to our face, I'm not Black. I know Black, Poppy, I know Black. And let's not forget our great elder and Olympian, Dr. John Carlos. He's in a video where he stated that this guy, his name is Dennis Dice. He and Dennis ran track together in high school, and they were going to the same college in Texas. And they had agreed, and they had formed a Black United Front that when they got to Texas, that they would, you know, band together. Well, when they got to Texas, Dennis ignored Dr. Carlos and went and cozy up to the white coach. But see, once again, and Dennis kept telling Dr. Carlos, I'm not black, I'm Jamaican. See, they are whatever country they claim they come from, they are that until it's time to benefit financially or any other social program. Then they want to be black. And so I'm just like, no, we can no longer afford to have these people to tether themselves onto us for any type of gain, because they don't give a damn about us. They know that we know how to get things popping. As so many people have had to tell even some of the Jamaicans who have tried to talk about us, and they say, well, you all couldn't get it popping with Marcus Garvey. You all wouldn't follow him. He couldn't get it popping until he came to America. Now y'all want to talk about him so gloriously as if you've always supported him, and they did not. Garvey didn't get things popping until he came here. They don't like to hear that because they want to be perceived. See, they want to use that the Garvey issues to wedge themselves into our claim. That is what's going on. But the person that you cited from South Africa, they are right. They were not enslaved in this country. And anybody that's pushing for reparation based on race, that person is trying to sabotage this whole process. Because if you look at it, like these so-called Pan-African groups, that they're not black owned, they get their financing from white folks. And remember, like I said to you before, Ron Daniels, this was back around between 2013 and 15, when I called him on a radio program, and I asked him, my question to him was, how do you secure funding for your organization? See, he started out by saying, well, we don't take money from big tobacco, we don't take money from alcohol. I had to interrupt and say, I don't mean to be disrespectful. I don't want to know who you don't take money from. What I want to know is, how do you secure funding for this organization? Do you have a business that you part of the proceeds go to your organization? Do you sell a magazine subscription? How do you do this? And he had to give it up that they get a grant from this Open Society Foundation, which is owned and controlled by George Soros. Same thing with what's the other group? In Cobra and NARC. They all get money from these people, but see, they want to come out and they want to come out and push these lies to us and tell us how we should conduct ourselves. When in fact, I'm gonna share something with you right now. See, I finally found this book. I've been looking for it. This book is called Bridges and Boundaries, African American and Jewish American. And see, this book came out in 1990. Let me see. I think this book came out in 1992. And so this book came out after the secret relationship between blacks and Jews. So this is the Jewish response to try to say that we've always had this allyship. So I'm going through this book, and I've been reading through the secret relationship between blacks and Jews. See, the Jews and other white folks got pissed off when Minister Farrakhan dropped that book, The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. And that is what I see now, is that there's another Sabbath. See, everybody keeps trying to say that we've had this interaction with these other people. No, we have always been on our own. And I'm seeing how this book, there is a section that this guy James Farmer, because I just found the book, just today I just found it. And there is something that this guy James Farmer, I will tell you at a later date, that this guy is the foreword that was written by James Farmer. See, a lot of these people who have had these quote unquote so-called relationship with whites and white people of the Jewish belief, they will come in and tell us, oh, these people are cool, we can do whatever. No, we have got to stand on our square and say and tell the truth. the relationship that we have with any of these people has not been a good one because they've come at us from a so-called benevolent perspective. That's how they've always kind of wedged themselves into what we were doing. Well, we were enslaved in Egypt, and what happened to us in Germany? That's not my problem. And there is no evidence that they were enslaved in Germany. I mean, I'm not German, but Egypt. But so my point is that we definitely have to continue to make sure. What's the brother name? It's like I think he's out of New York. Is it New Negro or something Negro? The brother, he's a pretty cool brother, but I think he's out of New York.
Tell about that Negro.
Is it that Negro?
Yeah, that Negro. He be up in the spaces all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish he was in here tonight. Because see, we have to begin to support. See, social media has given us the ability to effectively communicate with one another on a global scale. Those that are in support of us. I'm not talking about everybody. Just those that are in support of us, and we have to use that. We have to use that platform to the best of our ability. So I'm not going to talk a long time, but I just want to say that this right here is a sabotage. Just like I told people that when these little brothers were selling water on the streets of Atlanta, and all of a sudden you started seeing these. I think they was gang members because all these little children that would pass by. Sometimes I would buy them water myself. They would always say, "Thank you, sir," or "Thank you, big brother." These children were never aggressive towards me, never. But all of a sudden, you start seeing this stuff going down. So this is the same thing. Anytime that we're about to get that bag, the dominant society going to find people that will stand with them and try to push an agenda that they know is going to fail. And I'm going to land with that.
Original, I want to touch up on one thing, and this is one thing that that people keep reminding everybody of, and it seems like people, I don't know, they just forget it or whatever, but it's been said, I don't know how many times, 1,000,000 times over, that this can't be race-based. So when people say, other black people and all black people should be included in it, then you're setting it up for failure. If you go ahead and you say that this is going to be based on black people, it's no way whatsoever. And I know people say, well, you got a lot of people say, well, it's slim chances that it's going to pass either way. Well, there's no chance that it's going to pass if it's about black people. It can't be about black people because the law is not going to let you have anything that's specifically on law supposed to favor one race over another. So it can't be about race. It has to be about the lineage of people as well, too. And there's only one group of black people in the country whose lineage, will fall underneath that category. So I think this is another thing that people, and sometimes you wonder, like, hey, do people understand this? I know we're getting it out there and stuff like that, but do people understand that, hey, if you try to make this about race, this is going to fail. There's no way that they can actually go through that. They're not going to say that, hey, you know what, this is for black people or whatever. It's not going to happen that way. But now you also at the same time wonder if the people that is some people that may already know that, hey, this can't be by race based, but they want to see it fail, and they keep throwing the race thing out there as well too. It has to be lineage based. I know people saying, well, it has to be all black people, and it has to be people that was systematic racism and went through this and went through that and went through this. But no, based off of what the law is saying, it has to be lineage based. It has to be lineage. It can't be just because we're black, and it can't be just because, we experience racism because of our skin color and this and that or whatever. It has to be based off of the lineage. A certain group of people went through this trauma. Not everybody didn't go through it. You may have went through it in your homeland, but you didn't go through it here. So that's where, that's why I see like the water's starting to get muddy right now, because it's been told time and time again, it can't be race-based. If you're going to make it race-based, it's going to fall. It's going to fail. It has to be lineage-based. And, like I say, I'm wondering, the more and more this thing gets put out there, that, if you may not have some people intentionally trying to make it race-based, so it can't go any further than where it's going to go at. Because if you start saying that, hey, this is for black people solely, black people, then you're gonna have some issues here. It has to be lineage based. That's the only way it can actually succeed. What's just your feelings on that, real quick, original? I know you were speaking. You probably trying to catch your breath, but this is the issue I'm having with this whole situation. People say it's got to be black, 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 and like, well, no, it can't be that.
Well, they can say it can be black American descendants of the black people enslaved in America. They can say that, but see, again, that's that whole thing where what I said earlier about all these groups, all these so-called black and Pan-African groups that are taking money from white people and white people of the Jewish belief. They are put out there as agents to sabotage anything that we do. So that's why they are pushing this, because they don't speak for themselves. Remember, now let's not forget. Okay, remember when this guy, I think it was Yusef Hawkins, he was murdered in Bedford-Stuy out there in New York. And Attorney Automatics at that point was working with Al Sharpton. And so they was in a meeting, and Attorney Automatic, and if you type this into a search engine, African blood sibling, you have to type it in like this in order for it to come up. I'm gonna see if I can find it and post it in the chat. But African blood siblings, let me see. Anyway, I'll find it. African blood sibling, there's something about this. I got it saved, but I'll find it. But it's something about Al Sharpton. And what this documents is how, because I've heard Attorney Automatic say this on a radio program. And basically he said verbatim what's in this article. See, these people like Al Sharpton and these other people, these people are agents. Now, see, if you understand now, in Cobra, they came into being, they started getting that white money around, I think it was 1987. And in Cobra, they were not able to get reparations popping. But see, when social media, came into being, and then the Black American Freedmen, FBA, whatever you want to call it, ADOS, we began to effectively communicate with one another across this country. And different people began to, put things together and plot and see how things were going to be done. And that's why California became the first, the first one to say lineage based. And see, a lot of these black immigrants, they was calling us all kind of things, saying that we wasn't going to get this. And as soon as that lineage hit, all of a sudden, they wanted to be black. Because see, if you notice now, just like when it came out with, Jesse Smollett and those two Nigerians, and when they were talking about the stuff that they were doing with each other inside and outside the bedroom. And so Nigerians were saying, why they got the feeling Nigerians? See, when they do positive stuff, they want to be known that they're like wherever they came from. But when it's jacked up, they want to just go under the word black because they want us to absorb their negativity. But that's why it has to be. There is no other way that this will work. It must be lineage based. And if anyone who is saying otherwise, that's your best indication that they are an agent and they are trying to sabotage this whole thing. Just like when Attorney Automatics, when he got up, when he told them, he said, I want to know all the names of the people who killed this black child. So Al Sharpton and Yusef father, they kept sitting at the table. Attorney Automatics got up to leave, and he looked back. They were still sitting there. So Yusef Hawkins' father allowed Al Sharpton to convince him to just get a check and not get any justice. And so if you look at it out there, basically the same thing has continued, kind of with Benjamin Crump. People get a check, but they ain't getting no justice. You see, and that's what has been going on, and people need to understand that these other black immigrants, we're not immigrants. There's a book, what is it, 19 white men who admit they saw black folks when they came to this country. You know, uh, we were already here. Now they brought some Africans over here.
Hey, original, your mic at times sound a little mumbled.
Oh, what about? Okay, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, there were black people already here, and people need to understand that we're not immigrants by any means, and that's what pisses them off. And like I said, anyone who is pushing this, you need to see them as an agent and begin to question them as to why are they trying to sabotage reparations for U.S. descendants of enslaved people, ADOS, FBA, whatever phrase you want to use. But just understand, you have to make it distinct, and it's delineated from all these other groups. But these other groups they do not care about us. If that was the case, they would be helping us. Then there are some of them that are standing with us, but the majority of them, they just want to check, and they don't give a damn. And in their mind, if they can't get it, they're going to do everything that they can to try to prevent us from getting it. So just understand that is why. And I don't know what Al Sharpton's perspective is, on the lineage base. And if he come out saying that it just should be for black people, that right there will tell you exactly what it is. Oh, it's called African Blood Sibling: The Story of Al Sharpton. Yeah. That's what I'm going to find this, and I'm going to post it in the chat. And so people, if anyone has not read it, you can go ahead and read it and see exactly how low down Al Sharpton is. These people, they are not for us. They work for the enemy. That's exactly who they work for. They're not trying to do anything for us. And see, now they are more pissed off now because the grassroots got this entire thing, popping, and the grassroots got it going. And so what they want to do is try to finagle it out of the hands of the grassroots. But that's not going to happen because you got too many strong grassroots advocates out there, and they are doing a phenomenal job at what they're doing. And so I'm just going to land and let someone else come up. But that's exactly what's going on. This has to do with sabotaging us from getting what is owed to us. There is no other way around it, and we need to approach them from that perspective. And I land.
All right. Thank you, Original. Thank you. Let me read a couple comments real quick over here on YouTube. Abdul says, Black American freedmen are our own. No people of color, no minority, no black and brown or any other ambiguous identity that insists on exploiting our Black American freedmen community. Also says reparations must be based on the lineage of Black American freedmen from July 4th, 1776. Also says reparations is for the repair of slavery, Civil War, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, and other atrocities against the Black American freedmen community. We got Muffet. Muffet is saying, correct, a bill can only be passed on class or category of harm. Also, whether by state and especially nationally, reparations will only be passed if both parties willingly agree to it. Abdul says, salute to Dr. Claude Anderson for his instructions about reparations specifically for Black American freedmen. Abdul also goes on and says, each Afro-Diasporian group have their own reparation claims from European nations. The Black American freedmen reparation claim is from the United States of America. No disagreement on that. Muffet is saying the only way the Japanese got a reparation bill is because Congress willingly agreed to pass one. There is no legal route, lawsuit through courts to receive reparations. Congress must do it. We understand that. We know Congress would have to pass it. I reject the ADOS. Abdul says, I reject the ADOS nonsense. Black American freedmen is historical. And also, I guess he was touching up on what you said originally. Says Al Sharpton is absolutely an agent. He is anti-Black American freedmen. Al Sharpton and Ben Crump, they're working on something right now as well too. One of the cases, I forgot what it was, but they're working on something right now as well too. DJ, what's up? You up in the space?
Yes, sir. Mic check 1 2 1 2. The reparations promo god is here. Newstoter.
What's up? You up there now? You're not too far from New York, so what's your whole spill on that? You remember we had that broadcast where we were talking about the people up there in Boston, and you were starting to have a situation develop up there where you had a number of people that felt like the black immigrants were also entitled to any kind of reparation claim as well too. Now we see this is happening in New York, and they're just now getting their little panel on the way as well too. So it's just now before they can even really really dig into the actual topic and the actual situation, you already have people already saying, hey, before y'all start to get too far into this, don't forget that, hey, if you get anything, we want it as well too. We're entitled to it as well too. So what's your feel about that as well?
Well, they're not entitled to anything other than a pat on the back, maybe a kick in the pants and shit. Get your ass up out of here, tell the gun. You can't get anything. It's over with for y'all. Know what I mean? So with that being said, shout out to the room. Make sure y'all share the room out. You know what I mean? And give a big shout out to our sister, Dr. Jenkins. Ms. Jenkins, she's a part of the always chosen for the task force of New York. So that's a big ups right there. So shout out to our sister. You know what I'm saying? We got one of our own on the task force file. You know what I mean? In New York. So with that being said, all this stuff that y'all hearing about with who should be included, y'all didn't include us in the 1970s when y'all formed the CARICOM Commission. You see what I'm saying? And you also excluded the Haitian family. You're going to say other diaspora, where you didn't want them included in the reparations commissions of CARICOM either. But the moment ADOS got this stuff popping again surrounding reparations, even though folks was already in the midst talking about it, even before ADOS came into play, Tony and Yvette, you know what I'm saying? Which a lot of people don't understand this either. Folks in California were already doing reparations before they came into play. When DC was already doing reparations. I remember hearing about reparations and jokes trying to form conventions up here in the late 90s, early 2000s. So reparations has always been on the table ever since our ancestor Cali House has been trying to get this lawsuit popping against the government. It is what it is. Matter of fact, let me come up out of here real quick. Come over here with y'all, so I can see all the pretty faces. You know what I mean? So we've been on our grind trying to get our 40 acres in the mule. This is not new. So for these tether knackers to come up here, and I'm just going to say it for what it is, those that are against our reparations claims are the tethers. Anyone else, and you're cool with us, and you ain't got a problem with us getting our bread, and you don't want a shell of it, you just a regular Joe. You know what I'm saying? Anyone else, like Talib Kweli, you know what I'm saying, got a problem with our reparations claim, and who's a black immigrant too, and want to come up here and saying it should be all for all black people. People like what's the old boy name? Derek Carr, doing all his Pan-African studies and all this other crap. That don't mean anything, though. You can't. The joker that's coming from Trinidad and Tobago today can't get reparations. What did they suffer? I don't care if you came here in the 1980s when the drug era was popping. What did you suffer? Because we all already know as black Americans living in the North, y'all have been segregating yourselves from us the moment you landed here. The moment you landed here. Oh, don't mess with them knackers. Don't mess with them knackers, original. You know what I'm saying? You go to school, original. You know what I'm saying? You get your education. You be doctor, lawyer. No. I catch you messing with that kind of, you in trouble. You know what I mean? So these folks been kicking our back in, and shout out to Wesley. You know what I'm saying? What the hell is this Akata? Oh, that means wild dog. No taxation. Wild dog. Take this hands. You know what I'm saying? And get your ass on the boat. You know what I'm saying? You can't come over here and talk about you gonna get some reparations claim. You know what I'm saying? Yes, sister, go ahead. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? So with that being said, look, y'all. Do everything in your willpower when reparations come to your state to disavow anyone else other than a freedman Negro from getting. End of story. You know what I mean? And I don't care if your white homie got a great grandmother who was Big Mama Betsy and junk in the family. You've been identifying as white on paper your whole life. On medical records, job applications, census form, you are white. So don't come over here now and talk about, but I got one drop rule of blood in me. Hey, we ain't got no M&Ms for us. You can't come up here, sister. You know what I'm saying? Because we being serious right now. You know what I mean? So if you got a one drop of blood in you, well, hey, you just got some knack of me. That don't mean you getting a check. You know what I'm saying? So when CARICOM, back to them, right, decided to finally let Haiti into the game, we talking about all the way 30, 40 years later. I think it was, 2011. They decided to allow Haiti to be a part of the the CARICOM Commission. Well, hold on a minute. Y'all been around since the 70s, and y'all never asked for cash payments? A part of your reparations? You never asked for cash payments, CARICOM? Something wrong with that. So the moment we get our stuff together and we starting to understand that, hey, look, we ain't going to survive in this country without our repair. And we want cash payments because that's what reparations is. United States of America, you done gave it to everybody else. Jews, and Jews. You done gave it to the Jews, and white peasants from your reparations. You feel what I'm saying? When you going to give us our that's our inheritance today, which is our ancestors' money yesterday. So add up the black tax. Shout out to Sean D. Rochester. Put the black tax on it. You owe us quadrillions of dollars, not trillions of dollars with a Q. You owe us quadrillions. I know a lot of folks don't think that's not feasible, but that's not true either. They gave away $1 trillion day one when they shut this country down on COVID. $1 trillion check was cut. How you think you got $1,200 stimulus, son? You know what I'm saying? Come on, son. You know what I'm saying? How you think you started that little business you got now with that $1,200? You know what I mean? So you gave away money to Ukraine, billions of dollars. That's our reparations. Money to Africa, trying to be a part of them because the Chinese niggas are taking over Africa. Why y'all Africans never say nothing about these Chinese whooping y'all tail over there? That's coming over there, Akon. He gave money to them. You see what I'm saying? Let's also not forget, for of course, since the 60s, America has sent all manufacturing overseas to the China knackers. Now the China knackers is taking our inventions. When I say our, I'm talking about black people, Negroes, freemen, and BAADOS, whatever gang clique we rocking with, son. Throw your tag up. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter. It's all the same thing. That means black people here in America. You didn't say anything about that. You know what I mean? Venezuela. Look at all these migrants that's coming up here now, illegals that are coming up here now from Venezuela. Remember, I think that was your space title. We had a space a couple months back, and we was talking about Chicago, and the one sister came up there, and she said she was a teacher, and a lot of the teachers in 2015 went down to Venezuela to start prepping kids to come here. Come on, man. This is a game they've been playing on us. We ain't never been into the game because we was never even told we was playing the game. You know what I'm saying? We think we just going along to get along. Nah, man, these jokers have been pulling the wool over our eyes for a long time. And it's hard to even fathom. You know, I get it. You know, we suffered. You know, some other black folks might have suffered. You know what I'm saying? Some other brown folks might have suffered somewhere. But they ain't chattel slavery suffered. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Wherever you was at, post-Civil War, that's where your ass is from. Whatever y'all was calling yourselves, pre and post-Civil War, where you was at, that's what you identify as. You wasn't calling yourself African-American, Black American, you know what I'm saying? You wasn't calling yourself that stuff, you know what I'm saying? You don't got no census records, you don't got no medical history, you don't got no job application history, you don't got no tax history here, you ain't even got no lineage here in this country. I could trace back my great, you know what I'm saying? And keep it going with the mix. You know what I mean? You can trace back your great, and keep it going. I'm on IG the other day, going back and forth with one of these Scottish people, Ivy Laddie, Lucky the Irish. You know what I'm saying? Did you wear your kilt today, original? You know what I'm saying? Oh, son, you talk about, look at that. There always got to be one person up here talking about reparations. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, you damn right. Well, hold up. Where you from? You from Scotland? Well, hold up. Are you a descendant of William Wallace, the great warrior? You owe reparations from the crown, son. You know what I'm saying? Go and get your money. You better go do your bloodline and find out and go sue England. We about to sue them after we sue they cousins, the United States. We coming for y'all too. Coming for Africa, you know what I'm saying? Coming for Australia, Italy, Spain, add it up. Y'all about to get it, yo. So I'll land there and not want to talk too much. Give up all the beans. I got a lot to say right now. But shout out to the room. Share the room out. There you go.
Hey, DJ. And don't forget, Jim Crow Joe, he gave the African continent $55 billion. Now, I don't know if they received the money or not yet, but what I want to know, but they have not said they will share any of those resources with us. See, that's the issue right there. We have always included black people from around the world with what we got, with what we was able to fight and get for ourselves. They have never wanted to share anything with us. And see, now you see that even some of the people now, Black Americans that moved to Africa, they having their homes and things taken from them, the home and land taken from them. They've never been an ally with us. Even Malcolm X, when he went over there, he told them, he said, we have the same problem. It's white people. They told Malcolm X, we got our own problem. They've never been willing to ally with us. And we have to understand that and just move forward. And we have to begin to strategize with people across the country the way that social media has allowed us to do, and make sure that we are good. Because at this point, I'm not fighting for anyone except for the Black American, FBA, Freedmen, Negro, ADOS, but like you said, whatever you want, whatever.
Yeah, whatever take your rep, son. No, I'm
Hey, original, real quick. Let me get the no taxation real quick, and then we'll come back and get back to you. Real quick too. Let me give a shout out. To Tata. Thank you for your donation on Cash App. No taxation. How you doing tonight?
Trying to catch up because this is my last day of work for a minute. After this, I don't plan on doing nothing until round about work-wise, round about August, September sometime. This is my last day. I'm going to go on a vacation. And my vacation could be right in my home. So I hope everybody is doing fine and taking the same kind of lessons that I am. When you get to be a certain age, fall back so you can preserve yourself for a bigger fight. How about that? Hey, News, and everybody in the room. I've been listening on and off, but like I said, it's my last time. You know what? Ooh, baby, this is a conversation I had with Black today. Yeah, Black and I talked about this very same thing one night. And he told me where he stood, and I told him where I stood. Now, let's do the premise, okay? Because if you agree with the premise, you can agree with the consequences. You always have to have the premise laid down first. So the premise that you all laid down, and I'm talking about the grassroots movement people, delineation, okay? And so they understand that now. That's something that is already, you don't have to talk about it anymore. You can still, if you want to, but trust me, white folks heard you, okay? So that's that part. Here's the other thing. If you don't know the people that are on the commission, I suggest everybody look them up. DJ, I'm going to send you the link on the back end with the names and who they are and what they do and who appointed them, okay? Because Kathy Hochul could appoint 3, the speaker appointed 3, and somebody else could appoint 3, and that's how they came up with it, okay? Are we outnumbered on that commission? I don't know, because I don't know them folk. I don't know all of them. We do know Derek Hamilton. He came up, he was a student of Dr. William Darius, okay? So he has his own outlook and reparations plan that he feels he could put forward. And he's a very smart guy. He is. He's a smart guy. Some things I agree, some things I don't agree. But I know he speaks of lineage-based, okay? But he also speaks about children born in poverty and baby bonds, which is something, I think he got something passed on the Hill. I would have to look it up, but anybody who else was at, I'm way past my childbearing ages, so I don't really pay attention to stuff like that anymore. But if anybody is interested, go ahead and look it up. So there's that. Of course, Dr. Jenkins, you guys spoke about her. She's definitely lineage-based. The other 2 people that the speaker appointed, because I believe she was appointed by the speaker. If I'm not, I'd have to look on the list again. But anyway, the other 2 are definitely Pan-Africans. One is the guy that everybody know, because I don't know any of the Pan-Africans personally. Okay. Derek Hamilton's plan. He has research that he's written with Darity. education won't close the racial wealth gap, I think is one of the articles that I found most interesting, but certainly there's many more, and he's done the research on it because, like I said, he came up underneath Garrity, and they were friends for many, many years. And he has his own outlook, which is universal basic income, which they're trying. I know Patterson, New Jersey, just recently said that they're trying that out, and they're giving people $400 a month. And there's some other places where they're doing that in the country. You have to meet the criteria, right? And to see how it is, and the results have come back. The research has come back. I think they need to do it on a wider scale because it's hit and miss all over the country for universal basic income. But the research is concluding so far that people pay their bills and are able to purchase cars, homes, stuff like that. So there's that. It's something you really have to watch. Why is this the most important one? I'll tell you why. Because New York is the financial capital of the world. I know people think that what happens in California, so goes the rest of the country. That's so not true. It's just not true. When California went organic, do you know New York still ain't organic? So no, a lot of that stuff does not translate on the East Coast for various reasons. And I think they're stuck in a sort of quagmire now. I haven't looked out there in California. That's not something that I actually kept up with, other than, just trying to get the people's work out to the public if they tell me to put this out on the social media. But it's going to be very important because New York is the financial capital of the world. And so they're going to be the blueprint. California is not the blueprint except for the delineation. And so that is going, that's there. That's written in stone. Okay. I just suggest that everybody look these people up. If they're on social media, follow them and say what you have to say, because I think it's going to be vastly important. Now, having said that, I'm going to tell you this. I've been doing the reparations thing since 2017. And one of the things I didn't understand Pan-Africanism. I didn't understand, who they are and what they do. Even though I would see them in DC. I just didn't know them. I just, to me, they were Al Sharpton's people. That's all I thought about it. Nothing else, good or bad. It wasn't good, it wasn't bad. It's just they're over there in Al Sharpton's camp. So I just didn't pay that much attention to them. The other thing about it is I lean Republican, so they wouldn't be over there. But, where I am politically. But I have seen them, seen a few of them on the Hill. Here's the question that we have to ask ourselves now, because we're at the precipice, and this is one of the things that needs to be discussed, is exactly the time of this room. Are we going to cut off our nose and spite our face? Are we going to say that they can't have anything, and if you give them anything, the deal can't be done? Because we may just very well be there. Now, here's where I am, so people know, because I know people want to know what you think, because they ask me, and I'll tell you what I think. If that's the deal that we have to cut, and that's a big if. 1 or 2% ain't gonna kill them. That's the way I feel about it. 1 or 2, 3%, that's not gonna kill me. And you cut it off the year where they were harmed. So Talib would not qualify. You understand what I'm saying? Maybe his mom would, or his daddy, depending on their age, what they went through. But if you, that's something that has been discussed quietly and behind closed doors. Please understand this. Remember in the summertime, I told y'all that the AME church was taking over, and they playing their role. I don't know if y'all keep listening to me, but you got to understand that's who's pushing this, and that's who really stands to gain. So it won't be Talib and them. It'll be organizations, probably. It won't be people. Whoever got the organization out, the Pan-African organization. I don't know any of them. So that may be where we are, and that has to be a thoughtful discussion. It can't be filled with rage. It can't be filled with anger. We have to be clear-headed at this point. So that's something
So your question is, you're saying is that should we? Are you saying that should we try to invite or trying to add other people into the actual reparation claim? Is what you're saying?
I don't think we should try to do anything about adding anybody outside of ourselves. Let me make that perfectly clear. I'm saying when the deal is done, when everybody's sitting at the table, like they're sitting at now in New York, because they at the table now, that's where we are. Okay? And they got some heavy hitters over there, some real heavy hitters. Okay? People that do go to Capitol Hill, people that are in touch with the politicians on a federal level and the state level. And I'm saying we have the masses, the grassroots masses. We have to start having the conversation amongst ourselves. Would we cut off our nose to spite our face? Or would we take the lion's share of the money and give them some crumbs? Because that might be the deal, y'all. I'm not saying it is. I'm saying it might be. And we should be having a thoughtful discussion amongst ourselves about that, not filled with rage and anger and too much emotion, because at the end of the day, grassroots is not going to be the one to sign the paperwork. See, if we were signing paperwork, we know what we would do. But we're dealing with the federal government, and so that's a horse of a different color. So, and I'm glad you had it, because that has to be said. Somebody has to say it. So let me be the one. Shoot the messenger. I don't give a damn, because I'm ready to go out of town. Fan me and shoot me. But, would I be happy with that? Who knows? It's all up in the air. This has never been done. We're making history. So that's why I said it has to be a thoughtful conversation, because this is historic. The movement itself is already legendary and in history. Okay? And it's changed the face and conversation of political conversations around this country on a local, state, and federal level. And that's no small, don't sneeze at that, don't think that's nothing. That's something. And if you all don't want to change your tune and say, no, we want lineage-based reparations, and it comes down to that, I will say this, and I don't want to say too much, because I know people listen, and I don't know them, and they don't know me. I wouldn't stop saying what I'm saying now, y'all. I wouldn't stop saying what I'm saying now, y'all. If I was y'all, I wouldn't stop saying what y'all are saying now. Okay? Because that discussion is another whole discussion. What you all are talking about now is us. If that needs to be the focus, needs to stay the focus. Okay? And so this is real politics, y'all. This is it. This is what it looks like. It's ugly. And you had a friend in the morning, and that night they wasn't your friend. And you still got to work with them. It's just that's the name of the game. But y'all think about it. Y'all think about it. Because in Newstoter spaces, you have to have a certain level of intelligence to come in here and understand the conversation. So everybody in here understands the conversation. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. And so that's why I brought it here and no place else. Okay? Now let it start here. Because these spaces are for people who are really looking for solutions, okay, to problems that we face in our communities. And I'm going to leave it there. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, No Taxation. You brought up an interesting point there. I don't know. It would be a hard sell, I think, at this point in time, because I think for the most part, as you mentioned, the grassroots, I think everybody in the grassroots are so focused on lineage based that I think, like I say, I think the real fear is that once you start adding the aspect of race into the actual reparation argument, that's when it loses its steam. I think the only way that you can to effectively move it forward would you'd have to use lineage based. So it would be a tough sell. And then I think also too, as DJ pointed out as well too, is that when you look at CARICOM and you look at the African Union and you look at these other quote unquote black organizations, global organizations, and everything else, that when they tend to do stuff, they always leave Black Americans out. They've never been one to include us in anything or to champion anything. They haven't, So I think that would be a situation there, no taxation. Just honestly, I think that the actual claim, a lot of us, they feel like, hey, if we move it from lineage based to race based, the ship is sunk. They also look at the, like DJ said, CARICOM when they were founded and everything else, and totally they never say, you know what, well, we're all in North America, we're all in the Western Hemisphere, let us include every black person in it or whatever. They say, hey, we're gonna stick to the Caribbean, and even left Haiti out as well too. From my understanding, the African Union, I mean, they've never really been one to include us in anything whatsoever. So I think it would be a tough sell personally. But it's worth, like you say, mentioning it. But I think it'll be a tough sell.
No, but I think that's the best approach right there, and that's what I was really trying to say in code. Is that exactly what you see? Let it be a tough sell. It needs to be a tough sell. That's what I'm trying to say. But on the side, behind closed doors, because everybody can close their door, including us, right? Maybe that's a conversation we need to be having. Closed doors. See, we need to take that to social. That's what we got to do. And have that conversation over there. Because if it's going to be sold to anybody, it has to be sold to us first. They don't care. Listen, you can go down the road, the internet street, and find one of them spaces where they talking about each other. They don't care nothing about them folk. Okay? They doing the bidding of white supremacy. These are the spaces where they listen. These are those spaces. They come up in spaces like this, and they do it on the white side too. It's not just black. If they're going to come and listen, they're going to come and listen to people who are intellectuals. They're not going to come and listen to street people unless they just want to be entertained and laugh and call them the N-word. So keep that in mind. But I don't know if we're outnumbered on that commission in the state of New York, which I live in. Because I don't know, everybody on that thing. I would have to go look it up. And like I said, I don't have the time for that. But I would sure like to know, because I think that is something that everybody needs to know. Is the deck stacked? Did they stack the deck against us? See, those are the questions we've got to start asking and talking about. We need to move from, general conversation on reparations to this. And keep our eyes on it. Like we kept our eyes on California. Keep your eyes on this one. This is a horse of a different color, though, because this is New York. Wall Street is in New York. It's financial capital of the world. So it's gonna get interesting. I will say that. Do I think your conversation should change? Again, I say no. I don't think y'all's conversation needs to change at all, period, point blank. And I encourage everybody to come down to the demonstration on April the 15th in front of the Lincoln Memorial. Say something, get on the mic, send in a video, do something, because we can use those things electronically better than we can getting people outside. It's time to put our nose to the grindstone. So, but you're right, News. It's going to be a real tough sell to the crowd. I don't know what they're going to do. But it's going to be interesting, especially if they stack the deck. It's going to get real interesting. And that argument that you just made, that's the argument that should be said. How about that? And I'm going to leave it there.
Yes, ma'am. Appreciate it. Real quick, let me read a comment. I'm going to get to Original and DJ. American Lady says, Newstoter, do you plan on attending the Reparations Summit hosted by ADOS Advocacy Foundation? It's October 3rd, 2024 in New Orleans. I'm just not hearing about it. So This is the first time American Lady that I've even heard about it. I will say that I've never had a conversation with Yvette Carnell or Tone, but I've been blocked on Twitter by them. So I definitely wouldn't want to show up to a place where the actual people block me. So I've never had a conversation with them. I've never put out any content about them. So I can safely say that more than likely would not be happening. Like I say, I've been blocked by them, and I definitely wouldn't show up to one of their events, and I've been blocked. So I can say that's a no on that behalf right there. We got a number of people up in here. Shout out to Black Majority State. Andre, I see you up in the space. If you want to speak, go ahead and raise your hand. But go ahead. I'm gonna tell you like this, Andre. The topic is on. Hold on. The topic is on Black New Yorkers clash over should we get reparations. It's not about what's going on in New Zealand or Bangkok or any other place. It's about Black New Yorkers. Hold on real quick. Stay on your microphone. Mute your microphone. I'm speaking. Don't speak over me. Stay on your microphone, Andre. The actual topic is about Black New Yorkers clash over who should get reparations. It's not about the actual tea in Ethiopia and none of that stuff like that. So I'm just letting you know we're gonna stay on topic. Brother, what I'm saying is that when you come up, listen. First off, you talking over me. First off, you talking over me. You talking over me. When I ask you to mute your mic, you talking over the host. Like, don't even mute it. Don't even mute it, DJ. It's a simple fact. I mean, you should have enough discipline. If the host told you to mute your mic, to keep your mic muted. I'm saying we'll let you speak, but we don't want to hear about all this other stuff as well, too. We want to stay on the topic. So if you can stay on the topic, you can speak. If you
power trip,
brother, you don't want on the power trip. You the one that I'm having to tell to stay on the topic. You can't even stay on your microphone.
We're all allowing each other to work together towards a better future, right? So let's just set the record straight.
No, we don't have to say anything. Wait. We don't have to say anything straight. I'm just telling you how it's gonna be. Straight up. If you were hosting a space, I would not be talking over you. I stay on my microphone and wait till you. So we don't need to talk about. I'm telling you how it's gonna be. Now you can speak.
Thank you for letting me speak in your space, Newstoter. I appreciate the time because, the audience, I want to reach an audience because we have important issues, right? In New York, as a housing specialist, I'm dealing with it on the front line, working with the most vulnerable population, the substance use disorder, the severe mental illness, chronic homelessness, domestic violence, all of the things that get swept under the rug. And no, it's not all happening in a bubble where the United States foreign policy and all of these things. We got New Yorkers rushing into the streets, concerned about Palestine, not because it's really close by and that they are distracted about what's going on in the world. It's because they understand that their representatives are choosing to get their funding and their federal, resources is getting filtered through this foreign policy, amongst other things. Right? It's not the only thing; it's one of them. And so they are coming out in New York. They're talking about the TOPA Act, the Community Land Act. These are important for housing so that the community can actually get ownership and control of the housing, which is horribly mismanaged. And so the tenant opportunity to purchase and the community land trusts, these are going to be huge legislation in New York to deal with the housing crisis that didn't start with immigrants, right? And I know that we have to deal with this stuff. The United States, as a whole country, is dealing with similar thing as what the UK is dealing with. The UK just reported their lowest birth rate since 1939, almost 100 years, in the depths of the Great Depression, at one of their lowest points economically. And so that tells you how hard it is for working people to even raise a family. They're externalizing the cost. They're saying, screw it. We don't need to give the working population enough to live off of and to raise a family. We can just replace them with immigrants, amongst other things, right? Robots and all that other stuff. So yes, New York is dealing with the automation, just a microcosm of what's going on around the world. Around the country. And so that's where I'm at with it. As a housing specialist, I try to, find placement and
so real quick, Andre, because I haven't heard you address anything about the actual topic.
Oh, reparations, yeah.
Oh yeah, the actual topic of the room.
No, yeah, I'm saying I'm talking about the issues that the country's facing, and
but I'm talking about. Wait, hold on. I'm talking about the actual. And I told you when you came up here. That's what I'm saying. Whenever you come up here, you never actually discuss the actual topic in the room, man. The topic is that you're having in New York.
New Yorkers. You're right. I apologize. I didn't address the Black New Yorkers part.
I mean, word.
Want reparations, but they also are they're struggling to pay the rent, right? There's an affordability crisis right now, and so when working people are competing over these things like that, they're going to find scapegoats, and they're finally coming to an understanding about what they need to be doing. So they're organizing around tenants' rights and community rights to housing. So I mean that is the response to some of the some of the approaches when it comes to clashing between racial groups over who is affecting their life, the quality of their life, right? And when it comes down to the brass tacks, things like housing, healthcare, right? And so all of that stuff. I mentioned a few bills that are up in New York.
Okay, Andre, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for speaking tonight. We appreciate it, Andre. Let me go ahead. I'm gonna have to go and move and get on to the other speakers. Real quick, guys, for those that can support us on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. Once again, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. For those that do not have Cash App, we have the Venmo and PayPal up in the Jumbotron. Same for my people over there on YouTube, Cash App, $Newstoter, Newstoter. Once again, $Newstoter. For those that do not have Cash App, we have the Venmo and PayPal up in the description. We also have the membership where you guys can support us with Newstoter, the platform with a membership. You can go ahead and create a profile. It takes about a minute. That's up on the actual screen on YouTube, and that's up on the actual Jumbotron for as little as $1.75. You guys can support us a month. You can support us a month. We need that support. So I think so far we got 3-4 signups on the actual website. I want to see if we can, in March, let's see if we can get at least 50 to 60 signups. Only for $1.75 a month. If you guys, if you want to pay $5, you can do that. But we got different tiers, but it's as cheap as $1.75. So I definitely need you guys to support. All of the people up here speaking, listening to this, please go ahead and support Black media. We need your support. Once again, the link is up in the actual Jumbotron, and it's also in the actual description on YouTube. We got a couple new speakers. Let me get to Friedman, and I'm gonna get to Mark. Co-host, we get to y'all. Let's let the new speakers speak, and then we'll go ahead. Go ahead, Friedman. How you doing tonight? You kind of low, but I can hear you.
All right. So respect to you, Newstoter. Great space. I just joined, so pardon me late. Respect to the homie, DJ Seg1, co-host, great host he is, and of course the homie, Original Blood, and the rest of the Freeman family. So I read this article, and it was disgusting. We got Bertha Lewis, who's the head of the BK Black Institute. She's talking about reparations for all people with brown skin. Then you got the disgusting, horrible Michelle Salage, who's an elected official out here, also talking about reparations for all brown-skinned people. However, I also read that there's a Mona Davids, who is a South African, who said that reparations should be exclusively for the American freedom. Now, I don't know the ancestry of Bertha Lewis, and I think, well, Michelle, she's not an American freeman, but Bertha Lewis possibly is. But the South African is talking about reparations, or the state acts of atonement, rather, for exclusively the American freemen, and she's right. She's right in that sense, because all people with brown skin are not owed this 40-acre and a mule debt. They're trying to recreate or change the narrative as far as what was done in California and how it was supposed to be the state act of atonement out in Cali, supposed to be for the American freemen. So they're trying to set a whole nother new and confusion precedent by way of arm-based, at least that's what they're calling it. And I kept seeing discrimination. There was no legacy of slavery for the South Africans who do not carry the badges and incidents of slavery, or all other brown-skinned people who do not carry the badges and incidents of slavery. It was very disgusting to read and disrespectful, to be honest. You know, we're talking about chattel slavery, and then they want to talk about people who came over here by choice. I always say this, and this is what everybody else should say. When you have these conversations, there's a difference between people who came here by choice and our ancestors who are American freemen who came here by change. And they were treated as chattel, slaves, and stock, livestock. So if you came here by choice, you're automatically excluded from the reparations conversation. You're automatically excluded from the state acts of atonement conversation by way of New York or any other locale or municipality. So that is the language that needs to be used. I do appreciate this article, and I appreciate the space for you bringing this up. But we got a lot of work to do. We're doing that out here. The U.S. Freeman Project is vanguard for the American freemen and freeman conscious advocacy out here. Obviously, I work in support alongside them, so respect to them, Brother Devon, and the rest of the U.S. Freeman Project team. But hopefully that was able to be discussed, because when I joined in here, I heard something about tenants, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that has to do with the topic, but thank you, Toda, for at least redirecting that energy and getting it back on track. So I landed right there. Reparations, federal, and state acts of atonement, none of this shit should be,
Language.
None of this stuff, pardon me, my bad. None of this should be for non-American freedmen with brown skin. It's not based off of discrimination. It's due to chattel slavery and the badges that incident that's exclusive to the American freedmen in 2024 and in the future. The end. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Freeman. Everybody, definitely, if you can, definitely watch your language. We on YouTube, and they be trying to knock the channel. So let me go ahead and get to Mark. Mark, what's going on tonight?
Hey, what's going on? Look, I say it this way. When it comes to New York reparations, it's always suspect, because you got so many different intertwined groups there. But I think the discussion of reparations should be that are fit in places like Mississippi, places in the South, because we never know who we're talking to when we talk to New Yorkers. These people are so intertwined into Caribbeans and all that. I don't even know how to have a conversation really with New Yorkers, because they just all what they call it, they melting pot too much. And so and then you got a lot of these people who are part of this progressive movement that works against the interests of the descendants of American child slavery. So New York shouldn't even be a place that even determine what happens around reparations.
Let me ask you something real quick, Mark, because no taxation. She kind of mentioned it, and like I said, I think it would be an issue with it, but and I've heard certain people mention it before as well too. They say, well, to go ahead and to make things easier, why not go ahead and not only the people that were here for the descendants of American chattel slavery, but everybody from Jim Crow, Reconstruction, the civil rights movement as well to mass incarceration. Wouldn't it be easy to just go ahead and add these people, and it would only be a tiny increment, you know, difference in terms of the actual money being handed out. What's your thoughts on that when you hear people say, well, we can go ahead and we can, if we add people from, let's say, 19 go up all the way to 1964, they're saying that you only may have maybe 1%, 2% of people added to that. What's your opinion on that? And I get to you as well too, Freeman.
It's in that Cam Howard comes from, right? And I quickly told him, hell no, we don't agree. Secondly, you ever heard CARICOM speak of descendants of American child slavery?
We mentioned that, yeah, no.
Right? They don't, right? And then third, with minority, everybody benefited but us. See, minority, DEI, people of color, black and brown, all those are code words for give everybody but black Americans something. Bring everybody but black Americans to the table. See, we fight for everything, but then everything it goes to everybody else, unless you're black American that's connected. And so those connected black Americans that you see is mainly in that Democrat Party, they want you to vote for the Democrat Party because they benefit. They don't care if you don't benefit. So no, we can't afford to do that. We can't afford to minority and bypass our justice claim because they're not going to do it. And to sum it up, if you look at the caucuses in Washington, they let you know that they're Haitian. They have the Haitian caucus. When you come here and you call yourself Haitian or Jamaican, that's clearly saying that you're different from us. We don't do
that. Real talk. Appreciate that, Mark. Let me give a shout out real quick to EHZ. Thank you for your contribution. Cash App. Go ahead, Freeman, and I'm gonna get to you, original.
Yeah. So the bottom line is reparations is owed to all the American freedmen, whether they're in the United States or whether they're out of the country. The debt is owed. So when people say that it shouldn't be done by way of New York, well, I would say that that's infinitely asinine because there are most definitely a majority of American freedmen out in New York. I've done the numbers on this by way of the census, and according to the numbers, there's millions of American freedmen in New York. So to say that they aren't supposed to get state acts of atonement in New York because there's, according to this article, 500,000 Afro-Caribbeans or Afro-Latinas and Africans in New York, pretty much the stupidest thing that I could ever hear, especially if you're claiming to be someone who supports reparations for the American freedmen. If it gets done in Cali, it should get done in New York, it should get done in Mississippi, all of the South and all of the states. And that is a part of the local work that needs to get done. I'll call it state acts of atonement, equity initiatives, whatever. But on the federal level, though, I think we all can agree, or at least the true reparationists can agree that it has to be done by way of the federal level because it's pro facto when it's done on the federal level, it's pro facto, it will trickle down to all 50 states and all American freedmen in the United States and outside of the United States. So that is the ultimate goal. That's the ultimate goal. Whether New York is a melting pot, quite frankly, this entire country is going to, at least they're trying to make it look like New York. New York is not the only place where there are black immigrants. The agenda by at least the Democrats, and I'll even say some of the Republicans, because all of this is bipartisan, Congress is running the show, the agenda is to make it more illegal immigrant friendly. Now, I would say probably New York is the worst. At the same time, we see this happening in Illinois. Brandon Johnson is most definitely saying people of color, minorities, all people with
He's not one of us, though. So
benefits. You will shut your mouth.
he's not one.
Hey, real quick, Mark. Let him go ahead and finish speaking, and then we'll go ahead and we'll let you speak as well too. But go ahead, everybody, stay on your microphone and don't cut anybody off as they're speaking, please, guys. Let's be respectful. Let people speak, and if you want to go ahead and challenge their opinion, you can wait till after they're done. We'll let you go ahead and get to it. Go ahead, Freeman.
Watch the language. Anytime you cuss, drop a coin in the Newstoter bucket. Watch the language.
Thank you for that. So, like I said, in Illinois, there's most definitely immigrant alien project going on, and if Illinois did right and exact state acts of atonement, just like how Nikki Lucas did by way of our American Freedmen Bill, I would never say that, well, Illinois has a problem or Chicago has a problem with illegal immigrants, so Illinois and Chicago should not be getting state acts of atonement. So I landed right there. Thank you.
All right. Shout out real quick to my man Original. Thank you for your contribution on Cash App. Mark, was it something you want to say real quick? And then we're gonna move it around. You there, Mark? Okay. I don't think Mark must not have nothing to say at this point. Go ahead, Original, and then we'll get to Shaq.
Yeah, no. I want to respond. I want to respond. Well, first off, I never said that if you are a descendant of slavery and you live out of the country. I never said that. And then secondly, when I speak on New York, I speak from an angle of we don't know who is all mixed up when it comes to our justice claim in places like New York. We don't know. We just don't know. You know what I mean? And so we have to go to places where we know that we have large concentrations of our people. But lead the charge and lead the conversation around reparations, it can't come out of places like New York and Florida. No, man, because look, we don't do all this mixing all up and then putting these people at the table and saying that they represent us. And then last but not least, when it comes to Chicago, those immigrants that came here, they've been pushed out to the suburbs. They're not in Chicago in large numbers unless they're living in factories. Because when they attempted to put them in spaces, and let me say this about those factories are in white and Hispanic areas. We are some very racist ass people in Chicago. I'm talking about black people. We don't want to live around nobody else. That's why we are segregated city. We don't melt pot. We don't have children by one another on a large scale like New York. You know, everybody stay in their own little areas. The Greeks got Greek town, Chinese got Chinese. And when it even comes to Africans and Caribbeans, y'all live on the north side with Jews. You don't live amongst us. And so the thing is that, I don't think it's a good thing for us to allow places like New York to lead the charge. Now, I'm not against Black Americans that are there. I'm just cautious and leery of those who come to table because I know that y'all was up there getting that exotic pussy and y'all all mixed up and got all mixed up.
Bob in the bucket, but you said the P word.
All righty.
Okay, my bad.
Cash App, Newstoter.
Everybody definitely try to watch it. Let's not forget we got ladies up in the space as well too, y'all. So even though ladies, I know y'all all heard that before. I mean, but let's try to be respectful and keep it flowing. But let me go ahead and get to Original. I know Original, you've been waiting. So Shaq G, I got you next, and then Freeman, I got you as well. Let's get some other people up here. Aunt Liz, she done came up here. She heard that, so she say, I got to get up here.
Trouble now, Mark. Oh God, Mark, I'm tending no news talks, God.
Go ahead, Original.
Hey, Original, can I say just one thing real quick, just to piggyback off just what Mark just said, 2 seconds. So
Yeah, go ahead.
I feel he's 100% right, but I also want folks that don't live in New York or out of the tri-state. You got to stop saying New York. You got to specifically mention New York City, because when you say New York, you're talking about the entire state. And this is unfortunately, is a problem with our folks that live outside of the tri-state of New York. When we say New York, we're literally saying the whole state. It's like tethered up, but that's not true. Get on the Google Maps. Look at New York City compared to the state. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about a real, very 1%, 2% of land grab map. Jersey bigger than New York City.
Respect, bro. Much respect. I'll never say it again.
I got you, man. And it ain't just to single you out. So with that being said, I still agree with you that, New York got a long way to go, probably more than any of us. LA or California still, Florida, and New Jersey as well. You know what I'm saying? You don't know who you talking to out here anymore. That's 100% the realest thing ever right now. Because that's the point a lot of us have really been trying to, have not gotten. You don't know who you talking to that's black anymore. Because I've talked to people that I'm thinking they be black American their whole life. And when I bring up the conversation of reparations, they be like, damn, that's crazy because, my grandmother Jamaican or my grandfather came from Cameroon and all this other. Wow, really? I never knew that. Your parents act like they black Americans. Soul food, get down at the club, like, wow. So this is real telling. You know what I mean? So that's something that we got to start, thinking on and keeping in our mind moving forward. Hey, we really don't know who we're talking to because we don't know a person's lineage. A lot of these folks cosplay coming up in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. But go ahead, though, Original.
Real quick, Original, because let me get to Shaq G and then I'm going to get to you. Got a new speaker, so let me get to him and then I'll get back to you, Original.
Hey, what's up? Yeah, I was echoing probably the same kind of sentiment that Mark Carter was saying about New York. Like, we should start off at places that's not so readily integrated with
New York City, not New York now.
Well, New York State. I'm saying we should start off with places that's not readily so integrated where the black culture is so integrated.
Again, brother. Again, hold on a second. Again, not to cut you off.
Man, God damn, man.
No. But it's not to cut you off. I'm trying to correct.
Damn, man. I could cut you off, man. Shut the fuck up, boys.
Whoa.
So it's not to cut you off. See, this is a problem. Stop saying New York. Say New York City if you want to talk about the tethers and the immigration that goes on. Because New York City is where Tetherville is at. When you say New York or just New Yorkers, you're talking about the entire state. So that you have to correct your own self. You don't got to cuss me out because you don't know how to correct yourself. And you don't understand geographic landmass. I don't know what you studied in class in 6th grade, man. You know what I'm saying? But I know what I know. You know what I mean? I'm from New Jersey, by the way. So at the end of the day, if you don't want to listen and learn, you can just drop your mic, bro. It's really that simple. So New York City only consists of 5 boroughs. Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, Bronx, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So you're talking about a very small geographic landmass that's really like almost in the ocean. It's right here in the Hudson River. You know what I mean? So it's not even connected to the physical landmass of New York. Did you ever look that up on the map? I don't think we do. You know what I'm saying? So when we say in New York, you got to be careful. Yeah, well, that's only if you're in New York City. Because when you go catch the ferry to get to the stateside, black Americans run New York, man. So y'all got to stop saying that it's all tethered up and all this other stuff because they don't run anything here in New Jersey. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they may be here, but they not the majority here, but they're starting to be. You feel what I'm saying? And it's coming to a hood near you.
Let him let him go ahead and get his point though and finish his point.
Look, man, I was trying to get my point across because
Here, you go ahead, Shaq. You can talk. I don't know if it's a double mute, but you got it.
Yeah, it was a double mute. I'm trying to get my point across, so because I am talking about the entire New York. As a matter of fact, before you cut me off, I was going to continue to talk about the whole East Coast. So when we start setting precedents on what reparations going to look like, I was going to clean that up with I don't trust none of that East Coast stuff. Y'all too mixed up over there. That's why I say when they start talking, it's just my opinion, and you can disagree all you want after I'm through. Just let me finish, man. I feel like this reparations talk should start where the black communities are more segregated. I grew up in an area like that. So when you set the rules on how uh, reparations are supposed to be presented is coming from people from a solid black foundational black American freedmen community where we didn't mix around. Ain't no Caribbean girlfriends and you know what I'm saying? Ain't no African aunt somewhere. You know, people that's really coming directly from the grassroots and don't have a soft heart for the other communities. Like, it's cool. I don't wish no harm on nobody else's community, but I don't mind if they don't get something. I'm not going to try to move the date to 1950 to make sure some type of immigrant black person or immigrant melanated skinned person gets something because I got a soft spot in my heart for them about the old American, black American freedom, not anybody else but people on that East Coast. And I'm kind of worried about the people on the West too. But people on that East Coast, they so mixed in with the Puerto Ricans and the Africans and the Caribbeans. They got a soft spot for them people. And you know, that's why I say other communities and other sections of the country where black people kind of stick to each other, they would have a clearer vision of how reparations will look. You set a president in New York, and I'm talking about in the East Coast. You set a president in that whole East Coast where y'all all friendly with everybody. You set a president out there that, well, over there, they pushed it up to 1960. And the immigrants that came and went through the civil rights, they get reparations too. That's my point. So I was just getting cut off before I could say what I wanted to say. And I'm through. That's it. That's just my point. I feel like people that's solid standing on that freedman thing and getting paid for the debt owed to people that was enslaved in America is the people who should lead the charge and set a president, not the friendly New York, we all one people.
Okay, so I'm gonna just be real quick. You're talking about a very minute percent of people. So where are you from, brother?
Look, I just explained. I don't care about that.
I'm just asking you a question. Where you from?
That's how I feel, y'all.
No, I'm just asking you a question. Where you from, brother? You ain't about what you care about. Well, again, if you don't care, you can mute your mic real quick. He's talking about a very, very, very small percentage of people. You understand what I'm saying? So since you don't want to tell us where you're from, I'm going to consider you a tether. You know what I'm saying? I'm from Newark, New Jersey, bro. We have a percentage of black Americans up here. We run this stuff up here, bro. New Yorkers that's across the hustle from us, they run New York. Ain't no tethers running nothing up here. You can put your thumbs down all you want. You know what I'm saying? You're not debatable. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, what's really going to happen is, and this is correction right here, codified correction. If I can't correct you, you can't be a part of what it is we doing over here. So again, New York City is not the whole New York State. You know what I'm saying? It's just really that simple. You know what I mean? You're talking about a very, very, very small, minute percent of people. This is why taxation saying, don't cut your nose off to spite your face and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? Now, some folks may not be with giving anyone anything. Hey, that's cool. That's your right to even say that. You know what I mean? But when you don't know anything about the geographic landmass or the people you're talking about, that's all cold. Because that's like me. Hey, where you from? Oh, you from Alabama, Mississippi, or wherever you're from, Ohio, Chicago? That's like me talking trash about Chicago to Mark. I'm not from the shot, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Come on, son. You got to wake up, bro. Wake it up, man.
All right, let's go on to the next. Let me go ahead and get to original, and then we'll move it around to the other speakers in here as well, too.
Hey, we need some female perspective up in here. Then I'll go after her.
All right, Lie, and then we'll go ahead, Aunt Lie.
Peace, Black Power, and Reparation. Remember, I'm sensitive about my stuff. I don't want nobody jumping on me because y'all up in here swinging and stuff.
If you're too sensitive, and tonight ain't the night, then so.
I'm on the ledge. But no, I really feel like, in my humble opinion, I feel like New York and California want to do the quote-unquote reparations movement and try to be in the forefront as an emotional, it's with emotions. They don't really want to do it. As far as, like, because they don't really care about black people. They are acting, it's performative. because they are the ones, like with LAPD. Are you kidding me? You care about black people and reparations? No, you don't. Even in New York, the way they treat and how many people who have been unalived by the police in New York City, I know it's a state and city, the difference, but they don't really care about it. And I really do feel like they're trying to take it up in New York City so it can be, because there's a lot of immigrants there and all skinfolk and kinfolk, and it's people who don't look like us, can say that their dislike for it, so then they can hurry up and wrap it around for everybody else in the country. I do agree somewhat with the arguments of it being in other places where the freedmen population is large, but the issue I have with that is those places are heavily brainwashed by the people that's there. For example, in Mississippi and Alabama, those places are Louisiana. Those places with the freedmen population is great, but it's the black people in those, the freedmen, not black, the freedmen, whose ancestors were slaves in those populations. And I'm not saying they're not bright because I have family members there, but they are not fighting for the cause, and they are so behind in how they are treated by the government. Because even like the state of New Orleans, New Orleans City, Louisiana had the opportunity to vote against slavery on the ballot last couple of years, and they voted to keep slavery legal in Louisiana. So I don't know if it'd be a good idea to have states like that take up the forefront of it, because that's another way to squash the reparation movement. But I do believe in the argument that it being in New York, where the immigrant population is great, is a kind of the wool over your eyes, so they can try to tarnish the movement. Because they're asking people who don't even qualify what you feel like. And the people who are in a position of power in the state of New York don't really care about black people. They don't care about not black people, freedmen. I can care less about black people. I care about freedmen. Because the freedmen whose ancestors were slaves, who reparations is entitled to, you have a lot of people who have the same complexion as us, who don't think that we should get it because they don't qualify for it. And they want to go out of their way and go above and beyond to say different. And those are the people who want more politics. They come over here, they get off that boat, they get off that plane, and they're elected into office. They had a young lady in New York, in the state of New York, in Nassau, who was an immigrant, who literally fought in one of the armies for, I think, Israel Army, running for Republican, talking about how she against immigration, and she didn't even have proper language. And I was looking at this like, this can't be really what's going on. And it's like they're trying to come at us with our emotions, because reparations is a hot topic. They're doing the powers that be are doing everything in their power to come after our emotions with dealing with reparations, and I do believe this is one of them, because New Yorkers, the state of New York as a whole, does not care about freedmen. They have unalived too many freedmen and have done nothing about their own police, and the corruption in their police. And it's simple things they can do. So the fact that they're saying, oh, we care about reparations, miss me, like, don't beat me in the head with the bull. Just let me know what you're dealing with. If you got another woman, and you just let me know. And I feel like this is an emotional thing. So we can get on the spaces, we can talk about it, and then they can say, because it's an election year, look, we care about reparations. And they do the same thing Joe Biden did with his, I'm going to have black people back. And he ain't say nothing to black people the whole time he was in office. And then it's time for the election. Now he had a little boy house talking about something, y'all want to eat the peanut butter and jelly sandwich with you. It's the same thing. And I'm going to fold my chair, dock my boat, and don't come for my head because I'm sensitive about my stuff. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Original.
Can I say just one little thing? So just to
real quick, so we got some hands up.
I know. Just to piggyback on what she just said, real quick. Remember, when folks immigrate into America and they come through Ellis Island and all this other stuff, that's New York City. You know what I'm saying? That's not even connected to the state of New York. It's literally in the ocean. The city. You know what I'm saying?
To teach you, Ellis Island is in New Jersey. There was a lawsuit and we won.
Let's go. The Statue of Liberty, I believe, is on the Jersey side of the Hudson, if I'm not mistaken. So with that being said, what that tell you? So if you just happen to go do a population percentage of who's who in New York, you would see that even if we just even left it to black immigrants, those that are from Caribbean and Africa or whatever, or UK maybe even, if you just even added up the percentage of them, it probably wouldn't even fill in the city of New York. If all other races and cultures left and just left black, they couldn't fill up the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we understand geographic landmass because some folks just didn't take history and science class and social studies. Just be logical, because if you can't be corrected on that, it's over with before it even got started. But go ahead.
All right. Let me go ahead and get to original. Go ahead, because then we got some hands up. I know you spoke a couple times. I want to get to. We got a couple new hands in here. I want to get to. Matter of fact, original. Hold 1 second. Let me get to the new hands. Let me get to Paris and OD3, and then I'll get back to you. Freeman, I get to you as well too. Paris, go ahead. Unmute your mic.
Yeah. Hey, how are you guys? How you guys doing?
How you doing?
Good. The educator in me just wanted to say some things. When we talk about black freedmen and slaves, we built this shit here in New York. All right.
Language.
Okay.
50 Cent a cuss.
All right. So we built this here in New York. When you go down and people can research if they don't know about the slave ground down by Wall Street, check that out. We have, the AME Zion Church. We were living in Central Park, right? It was taken from us. Seneca Village was our part of history, period. I am AME by denomination, my family. And it was very interesting. The teacher and me just wants to talk about, there was something here, it's called Treasures of New York. It comes on Channel 13 during the week. And it was very interesting. The Bound House, I don't know if those of you are from Queens or, those of you who live in New York, it was very surprising to me that the Bound House, you from Queens?
No, I'm from Jersey.
Okay, well, the Bound House, yeah, the Bound House, I was like surprised. Geez, this house here in Flushing was the house that the Quakers had, but it was where they had the Underground Railroad. I was like, damn. So I said, I have to go there, take my class there. I was surprised that we literally built this. So you will find so many freedmen here in New York City. However they decide to formulate this group, there will be voices speaking out. There will be people speaking out who are freedmen. We will fight for whatever, for our rights and make sure that our voices are heard. But I just wanted to say that New York City was built, no matter how they want to bring up, the tenements. Okay, fine. But you have to realize that African Americans were living alongside all of these, the Irish and the Jewish, everyone that came to the tenements and the Lower East Side. We were living with them. A little fact, tap dancing, right? A lot of people think, it's African. Tap dancing was a mixture, a melange, a mix of Irish and African. What, how, what? Because we were all living together. I was shocked to learn that. But we built this, and that's all I wanted to say. And if you think that we're not going to open our mouths when the time is right, we will open our mouths. And to piggyback on, I don't know if I'm saying your name right, but we follow each other. D, the co-host. Gosh, what you said, I forgot. I'm losing my train of thought right now. But we will fight for what we have to fight for. It's 5 boroughs, D, like you said. It's not upstate. Upstate, by the way, had a large group of slaves. Where Kathy Hochul is from, oh yeah, they propagated in slavery, and you can Google it. They had a large group of slaves upstate New York. But here in New York City proper, 5 boroughs, we're gonna fight for ours, and that's all I wanted to say. And I apologize for my language, but I'm just very angry and vehement about how I feel. Thank you, guys.
No problem. Thank you. Let me get the OD3. OD3, go ahead and unmute your mic.
All right, thanks for letting me speak. First of all, I'm from Jersey, but I want to speak up for my folk in the city real quick. I do think the reparations. I don't know if y'all speaking on if they should lead the reparations or should they get reparations. I'm not sure, but I feel like our people in New York are some of our most oppressed people, especially with what we know the situation is. Like we saying, all these tethers are around them. You got all these Hispanics, then you got the white people, the old phase. But to add on to that, they also some of our most militant people, because before social media, we got to remember the whole black conscious community comes out of Harlem and Brooklyn. Like that's where everybody was coming from around the country to go, all our people to go get knowledge in all type of lanes. So like it's not that and also somebody said something about we got a soft spot for these people that we live around. If that's the logic we're going to use, wherever you from, you probably got a soft spot for old phase, for white people. Because you probably went to school with white people, you live around them, you had sex with them, you had babies with them. If that's the logic, that's not the case. And even though a lot of these tethers, they come here, when they get into politics, yes, they cosplay us, but for the most part, they proud people. If you knew anything about the terrain here, they function in their own communities inside our communities. They do their own thing. Like it's not like no melting pot. Everything up here is segregated. Everybody standing to their own. And the last point is the media is here. So if we want to show something, wouldn't you want to do it with the actual media? Is that like this the center of the world? Like New York City is. And I'll land my plane there.
All right, thank you. Let me go ahead and get to original, then we're gonna get to Freedman and no taxation. We're not gonna keep the space going too much longer. We got one tomorrow night, guys. So go ahead, original.
Okay, I just want to say this first. I don't think he's no longer in the room. That guy Andre, and like you said, he was speaking off topic, and he brought up these Palestinians. I put a link in the chat. I mean, I don't give a damn about the Palestinians or the Israelis because they both are anti-black racists. They treat the people with black skin over there as if they're not human. So I don't give a damn who get blowed up, shot up, or whatever, because that's not my problem and that's not my concern. Because I've been telling people that same thing. Black people need to stay out of stuff that don't concern them, especially when they treat people with black skin the way they treat them. So I just want to say that. But I think what we're going to have to deal with for the most part here is language. Because remember, during the civil rights movement, there wasn't anyone else out there but black American freedmen, ADOS, FBA, whatever you want to call us, whatever click you in, what DJ said. Then all of a sudden, when we got the thing popping and making up, I will say, there was some white people that were walking with us, but next thing we knew, we thought we were giving rights to black folks, and then they flipped the script on us. Then you look at that civil rights bill, it stands for race, religion, sex, national origin, disability. All of a sudden, all these other groups who did not go through this process, they were not enslaved with our ancestors or anything. They was living their best life. They didn't have to go to the colored water fountain. They went to the white water fountain. This is why I say we have to be careful, and we are really going to have to go after these Pan-Africans. Because like I said earlier, this book, 19 white men who admitted there were black indigenous people in the Americas when they came here. And we need to begin to push that, because these people like Ron Daniels and these other Pan-Africans, these are agents. They are agents for the enemy. They do not work. They do not work in our best interest. And I pulled up the article that No Taxation mentioned, and I'm looking at some of these people whereby they are with someone with the NAACP. I had one that said they were with the Urban League, and we already know. I already told you what Ron Daniels get down is, and see these people see again. They want us to believe. This is why I tell people I'm not into belief. I'm into knowing. And see these people that are like into the Urban League and all these other so-called civil rights groups, they are being paid by the white people, whether they be of the Jewish community or whatever. They're being paid by those people to sabotage this thing. And we are going to have to light a fire under them and make sure that they are going in. If you're going to be on this panel, you're going to have to fight for us because we're tired of our blood and pain and suffering being used to finance issues for every other demographic, and we end up with nothing. That is no longer acceptable. And if you don't want to fight for us, move yourself on somewhere else. And I'll land because I know you said you're gonna close the space up in a minute, and I'll land with that.
Yeah, we're not gonna go too much longer. Let me get the Freedmen and No Taxation, and we're gonna go ahead and close it out for the night.
So I appreciate what DJ said. Even though he's not from New York, a lot of what he said was right and exact. And I would like for people who actually have knowledge and experience about New York, and if you're not from New York, if you're going to speak on it, at least speak on it right and exact. Also, I appreciate what Old said and Ms. Paris said, because even though I think Old said he's from Jersey, he was accurate in his explanation of how the segregation is in New York City. We live in America, okay? So segregation is not exclusive to Chicago. Segregation is not exclusive to Chicago. You can have 1,000,000 trillion people in Mississippi who are American freedmen, but the 5 people who are making the decisions on the state acts of atonement are tethers and non-American freedmen, Confederates, white supremacists. Those numbers would be irrelevant. Case in point, we have Michigan, Detroit, Motown, the epitome of Motown and the soul music, and what are they dealing with? And the majority of the American freedmen in Detroit are American freedmen. And guess what? They're having the same issues when it comes to the task force and reparations or state acts of atonement. So, again, people are talking about New York City because we're lit. We're the best. And again, y'all have absolutely no idea what the hell goes on in New York. Now, White People Institution, you forgot about one borough in Staten Island. That is the 5th borough that nobody really acknowledges, but it is a borough nonetheless, and it is a part of New York City. And I appreciate you bringing out the fact that there are very little to no black immigrants out in the state or upstate of New York. When that white supremacist Confederate shot up that Buffalo supermarket, it was American freedmen who were shot and killed. And as we mentioned earlier, majority of the quote blackness in New York City are American freedmen. The problem is you have the Michelle Salages of the world, who is not American freedmen, making the decision. And this is not exclusive to New York City. This is happening all over the goddamn country. Okay? Chicago included. So no one is saying New York is leading the way in reparations. No one is saying that. So I wish people would stop making straw man delusional arguments. And if, I guess, according to the dark charters of the world, they're saying that, well, I guess the black immigration problem in Chicago is done now. It just randomly disappeared. That is a lie. And I don't need to be in Chicago to know that. Yes, Chicago still has a black immigration problem. Chicago is segregated just like New York City is, and just like many other places in the country is. Welcome to America. Are we new to this? I really would like the people who are actually doing reparations work to speak on the advocacy of the reparations and the state acts of atonement by way of locale. So check this out. If you are in Chicago, you speak on Chicago politics. You have no authority or knowledge or experience and understanding on the politics in New York City. You will speak about what you see on TV. Just like how the homie White People Institutions is talking about Jersey, I have to show respect and deference to him because he's from Jersey. I'm not. I may have knowledge and information, but I don't have the intimate experience and understanding of Jersey the same way that he does. Just like how New York has our own and unique experience, so does Jersey. We have a whole complete different history here. So I think we have to keep these conversations limited to certain people. At the same time, I do appreciate what a lot of other people said, even if I disagree, because some of the other things they said were right and exact. Again, this entire country is segregated. It's not exclusive to Chicago. You understand? New York City, there's much segregation out here in New York. We're being gentrified for a reason. What the hell do you think that is? It's not exclusive to New York.
Because I know we're about to close out.
Okay.
Did you hear about Biggie mural in Brooklyn being painted over by that Emerald Dispensary, what is owned by a white woman and a Hispanic man?
Say that again?
Did you hear about, my bad, I had my finger over the thing. Did you hear about the Biggie Smalls mural that was painted over in Brooklyn by these folks that wound up getting the building where a mural was at? They turned it into a dispensary. So it's owned by a white woman and a Hispanic Latino man. Why it ain't owned by at least, a black man, no matter where he's from? You see what I'm saying? In New York City, where Biggie from? You see what I'm saying? Which still should be a black American, freaking Jamaican, something. You know what I mean? Why the Hispanic white folks got it?
Yeah, to my knowledge, we don't know who Biggie's father is. He may be Freeman, he may be Jamaican, but we know his mother was Jamaican, so Biggie is on the Jamaican side. At the end of the day, your point is valid because we're talking about non-people or this white person gentrifying his picture or whatever. That's the bottom line, and this is happening all over the country.
Correct.
The people who are actually doing the advocacy work should be speaking on the local advocacy and how we and what we agree on a national level as far as reparations is concerned. I think we need to focus on those things and stop gaslighting and focusing on New York City as if New York City is the only place, and places like Mississippi don't have coons. The places like Mississippi don't have ops who look like us or tethers. See what I'm saying? Because the tethers are everywhere and they're most definitely in positions of power. So I appreciate this space. Great build overall. I would like for people who are informed and not from the New York City area to actually speak. And if you're not informed and you never set foot on New York City, I would just suggest you just stay in your own lane and talk about your own Chicago dark charter politics, because that's what you think you know, or at least that's your lane. So I landed right there. Thank you for the space. Peace.
All right. Thank you. Let me go ahead and get the no taxation. We're not taking any other speakers. Black majority state. I'll let you be the last speaker for the night. We're not taking any other speakers for the rest of the night. We're trying to close this one now. No taxation. I'm gonna give you a couple of minutes. Give Stephanie a couple of minutes. Give Black a couple of minutes, and we're gonna shut it down for the night. You got it. No taxation.
Okay. I just came to say, because I listened to the young man, I don't know if he's still in the space, say that he would rather see it happen in another state down south. I mean, I want to see it happen in Lowndes County, Africatown, anywhere in Alabama, down the bayous of Louisiana. You understand what I'm saying? Because they're my people. So, yeah, everybody want that, but that's who we fight for, really, truthfully, because they cannot fight for themselves. Those strongholds of racism down there is not like the strongholds of racism on the northeast side or on the west coast or anywhere else in America. Racism looks different everywhere you go, and for people to make the mistake and think that New York City is not a place where racism exists is entirely wrong. New York City is the most segregated city in America. I don't know if people know that. I don't know if people understand that. They have Chinatown. They got the Greek town. They got the Irish town. They got the black town. They don't mix in New York City. They just don't. And that's just true tea. So what Freedom Reparations and DJ said, speaking the truth. Here's what people outside of New York have got to understand. And y'all know I preach this all the time. I've said it probably twice today. This is going to be my third time. There's only 4 states in this country that count. California, New York, Texas, and Florida. They are the cornerstones of American government, and they are the cornerstones of the American economy. And that's just the way it is. We hope that we can reach those people down there in Mississippi. Can you imagine what it would be in Mississippi if they had a state reparations commission, what it would look like? If you think them crackers is not going to get on that commission, you mistaken. I can tell you that for a fact here. And while I don't know everybody on that commission, or haven't heard about everybody on the commission over here in New York, I don't know if they stack the deck against us. Time will tell. But what I know for sure is that there's some real workers in New York City, real workers, and they didn't just come in the game the other day. They've been in the game for a few years, you see. And so I have no doubt in my mind that they're watching this. And let's not forget that when that shooting happened up in Buffalo, everybody but one person that died was black. So don't ever, New York does not have a, because it does exist in any of America. So don't ever think otherwise. And I just came up here to say that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. No taxation. Let me get to Stephanie, then we're going to get to Black, and we closing it out for the night.
Hey, y'all. Salute to you. Salute to the entire chat. Thank you for holding the space. DJ, I just wanted to follow up on that question that you asked Friedman. They had to paint the Biggie mural back because they received a lot of death threats. So yeah, they got death threats behind that, so they had to paint the mural back. And the sad thing is, you have these shops on practically, you find 2 or 3 stores on one block, and I think, something's got to give, because before you know it, I'm seeing, not to get away from the subject.
You got how many stores on one block? You said, I'm sorry.
They be having 2 or 3 of those hookah spots on the on one block. You'll find 2 on one side, and then you'll find 1 across the street on the same block. And it's like, none of them, I can guarantee you, none of them are black owned. And this is the story of the black community's life. This is what we always have to deal with. We have a community, we have black people living here, but how many of the black people are owning the property? How many of the black people own the stores and all these other businesses? Everybody just come in, eat off the black community, and just fund their own community. But getting back to the subject, I don't know how many times do we have to say, I think this is 100% wrong. You just literally came here like yesteryear, and you want to sit here and lay claim to something that happened to people that are rightfully owed a repair. It doesn't work like that. The people that were born and raised here are the ones that are the rightful inheritance of reparations. How much more do we have to prove to people that we're the ones that's supposed to receive that repair? They come here, everything is already laid out for them. Who were the first people to gentrify Queens years ago but us? People getting rocks and bricks and stuff thrown at them because they couldn't go down a certain block. Even in parts of Brownsville, when John Gotti and them used to run through Eastern Parkway and eat those chop shops that was owned by the Italians and the Irish. So how you gonna sit here and tell me that y'all have just as much right as anybody else? You decided to come here. That is your choice. And I have to shout out the South African sister that spoke in the article when she said that it's wrong for other people to do that. She said the rightful heirs are the ones that were born and raised here, the descendants of U.S. chattel slavery. Look what those people get. It's like they want what they want. They don't want you to have what they have, but they want what you have. It makes absolutely no sense at all. And it becomes more and more frustrating by the day. It becomes more and more frustrating. You know, especially when you say, oh, well, I'm this and I'm that, I came from this and I received that. Then you know what? You take your case to the UN. Take your case to the UN. You file a human rights violation. Do that. If you feel like you was wrong, then you do that. Everything that we have here, everything, I have to shout out the grassroots and everybody else for their hard work and their dedication to this and making it and putting it to the forefront. It's not right that other people can come here and try to lay claim to blackness when you didn't lay claim to it 20 years ago. I told you my story about how people was upset because we said that they were black and they didn't want to be aligned with blackness. Now you're black 20 years later? It don't work like that. You know, and we better stay on top of this because if not, we're going to lose this and that's going to be the end of that. And salute to Freedman, Lineage Over Melanin, everybody that's putting their foot out there, Marcel, Tariq, the Black Authority, Newstoter. Everybody plays an integral part in how things should be shaped in our society, in our community, and in the system itself. And I'm so proud of you guys. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the richest person in the world, but I try to do what I can if I have it at the time. And I just want to say thank you so much. And that's all I have to say for right now.
All right. Thank you, Stephanie. Glad to hear from you tonight. We're going to let Black Majority be the last speaker for the night, guys. Like I say, we got that membership. We need some signups. So far, I think we got 3-4 signups. Want to at least hit 50, 60 by the end of the month. You can choose your own membership plan anywhere from $1.75 up to $10 if you want to. It's cheap, it's quick, it's affordable. All you got to do is click that link, go to the site, and sign up. All you need is your name. You can create your own name, username, password, email address. That quick, in less than a minute, you can already create a profile. You don't have to put your pick, anything up there, but we do need that support. Go to the newstoter.com customer portal. It'll take you there. Go ahead and create a quick profile and support us. Like I say, you can support us for as low as $1.75 per month, reoccurring. You do need to have a PayPal account. No, you do need to have a PayPal, guys, but we definitely need that support. Support us, help us build up our own platform, our own base, so we can go ahead and get this content and we can make it go viral without really even needing social media. Let me go ahead and get the Black, and then we're gonna close it out for the night. Also, support on Cash App. If you're not gonna create the profile, then support on Cash App. $Newstoter, $Newstoter, any amount. Like I tell guys, if you got $1 you can donate, that'll work as well too. Let me go ahead and kick it to Black. Black, how you doing tonight?
Hey, Newstoter, I'm doing good. DJ Original, Miss No Taxation. All folks tonight. Hey, I'm glad Miss Stephanie spoke before me. So I appreciate everything that she said. You know, I'm someone who I do my best to study law, study the system, study how they work, and then I try to look at real-time information as it is occurring. And so in California, they had that 2-year commission. They fought the violent fight. They got lineage. They got delineation. They pretty much set the precedent. I think someone else was talking about setting precedent. So they set some really historical precedents. There's a lot that's going on in DEI and affirmative action that probably is going to make it to where, to be quite honest, if we don't get them to recertify the Reconstruction Amendments specifically for Black American descendants, a lot of it is going to have very, very little effect across the country because they're really, really attacking this legislation like all over the country when it comes to opening up the door wide open. So we need to kind of keep that in mind as well. But when direct cash payments kind of seem to be off the table, Ms. Camilla Moore came in space, Newstoter space, and graciously explained, what the plan moving forward was. I've seen posts about things she was saying. So in other words, they had to regroup and re-strategize. And the plan that she laid out is that they would have a series of bills that would come out later that would kind of try to come back around to direct cash payments. And I say that to say this. There has been, for whatever reason, and I think Miss Stephanie laid it out, and I respect what she said, but there has been this fight over lineage, which is a violent and valiant fight and a valid fight. But I've also heard people say, you know, you have a separate claim. You know, if you're a Native American, you have a separate claim. If you're a Caribbean, whatever, you've got a separate claim. And I think that's valid too. But for whatever reason, when they state that there are people from all these different regions, let's say, different countries, even different backgrounds, and that's intentional, right? I mean, I think we all understand that the systems are intentionally creating conflict. But the reality is this: the way the systems works, you can do parallel, separate bills, separate legislation. You can do that parallel in the commission, where lineage for Black Americans would be an entirely separate line of legislation, and then all these other groups, whatever they are, whatever they got going on, they can be doing their own thing at the same exact time. And so, because the fear from Newstoter, who expressed it when Miss No Taxation brought up about a percentage, was that race-based legislation will be struck down, and that's likely to be unconstitutional. And they would suffer that, I guess, depending on how they put their package together. But it seems to me that if New York is going to spend 2 years, I don't know how long the commission is, but if most of the energy is going to be to fight to create one bill, when they could start that process simply creating 2 bills or 10 bills to do whatever it is that they think needs to be done legally, so that Black American lineage descendants history, the study, the trauma, the calculations are all on the table as a separate pure bill, and then everybody else does whatever they want to do. And then you put all the bills on the table and let the courts, if it comes down to that, figure it out. Let the state legislators, if it comes down to that, figure it out. All these states have hundreds of bills that they go through every single year. So I think that it's been wasted energy, wasted potential. Maybe whoever has been in the position to have consultation hasn't really looked at how the system actually operates. They even have, New York had a concealed weapons bill recently. They tried to shut it down. They got sued in court. They went in and struck down provisions of the bill, but not the entire bill. That is how the system tends to work. So I don't know if there's not attorneys involved that just are not giving like really clear direction, so that, you know, we don't have this issue. Because to me, this is wasted time. It's just a lot of wasted time. And you know, you can get past this, get right to the study, get that over in 6 months, and then put the legislation on the table. That would be my suggestion, and I'll just hang on that.
All right. Thank you, Black. I appreciate it. We're going to get ready, guys, and go ahead and close this out for the night. We'll be back tomorrow night. We're going to be doing we're going to be going in depth on that space that Diane, what's her name? Diane Yap or whatever had Saturday. So definitely catch us. We're going to be discussing that tomorrow night, guys. So check us out. Somebody said something?
No, that was me. Asian hate is fake. There you go.
Oh, yeah, we're going to be.
Diane Yap. There you go. Yeah, we all know she looked like one of the fish characters from SpongeBob. Let's go. Under Destiny.
Yeah, so we'll be touching up on that tomorrow night, guys. So definitely thank everybody for coming out for this space. It's been a while since we did a Sunday night space, but we appreciate you guys all showing up. Like I say, go ahead, get that membership as low as $1.75. You can support us that way. We're trying to build a community on Newstoter as well, too. Gonna have our own little community forum. So support us that way, guys. We will see you guys tomorrow night. Everybody, peace. Be safe. Have a good one. And we'll see you tomorrow night. Peace.